You don't need enemies when you have family. History's most powerful royal dynasties didn't fall because of war, famine, or revolution. They fell because of themselves, through paranoia, inbreeding, murder, and spectacular acts of self-destruction that no enemy could have planned better. Today, we're rebuilding the worst royal implosions in history, brick by brick. We're covering the Habsburgs, who inbred themselves into extinction, the Russian Romanovs, who ignored every warning until it was too late, Henry VIII, who destroyed his own dynasty chasing a male heir, the Mad King who lost America, and the House of Atreus, the most cursed family in all of ancient history. Stay with me. The most powerful royal family in European history had a solution to keeping power in the family. It destroyed them. The Habsburg dynasty ruled much of Europe for centuries. Spain, Austria, the Holy Roman Empire. Their strategy for maintaining power was simple: marry relatives. Cousins married cousins, uncles married nieces. Generation after generation, the Habsburg family tree became less of a tree and more of a wreath. The end result was Charles II of Spain, possibly the most genetically compromised monarch in history. His inbreeding coefficient was higher than if he had been the product of a brother-sister relationship. He couldn't chew properly because his jaw didn't fit his mouth. He didn't walk until he was 8. He was impotent, epileptic, and mentally disabled. He died at 38 with no heir, ending the Spanish Habsburg line entirely. An autopsy reportedly found his heart the size of a peppercorn, one testicle black and gangrenous, and his brain full of water. The most powerful dynasty in Europe had literally bred itself to death. The Habsburgs spent 200 years trying to keep power in the family. The family kept the power and destroyed itself in the process. Henry VIII didn't just want a son. He wanted a son so badly he tore apart the church, executed 2 wives, and left England in chaos, and still barely got what he wanted. Henry VIII came to the throne as a golden prince, educated, athletic, charming. He married Catherine of Aragon, who gave him a daughter, but no surviving sons. Henry decided God was punishing him for marrying his dead brother's wife, and applied to the Pope for an annulment. The Pope refused, so Henry broke from the Catholic Church entirely, declared himself head of the Church of England, and annulled his own marriage. Then he married Anne Boleyn, who also gave him a daughter. He had her executed for alleged adultery and treason. Third wife Jane Seymour finally gave him a son, Edward, and died shortly after childbirth. Henry married 3 more times. He died, leaving the throne to a sickly 9-year-old boy. Edward VI died at 15. His half-sister Mary I ruled briefly, burning hundreds of Protestants at the stake. Then Elizabeth I ruled for 45 years, but never married and had no children. The Tudor dynasty ended with her. Henry VIII sacrificed his faith, his wives, and his country's stability for a male heir. The male heir died at 15. The dynasty was ended by the daughter he'd tried to replace. In 1917, the most powerful royal family in Russia was living in a palace, while millions of their subjects starved. They had years of warnings. They ignored every one. Tsar Nicholas II inherited the largest empire on earth and had essentially no qualifications to run it. He was gentle, family-oriented, and completely out of his depth. His wife Alexandra was obsessed with the mystic Rasputin, who she believed was the only person who could control their son Alexei's hemophilia. While Russia lurched toward revolution, Nicholas dismissed his ministers' warnings, and Alexandra dismissed everyone who questioned Rasputin. The 1905 revolution, Bloody Sunday, should have been the warning. Nicholas's troops fired on peaceful protesters outside the Winter Palace. He made minor reforms and went back to normal. World War I killed millions of Russian soldiers. The economy collapsed. By February 1917, even the army had turned against the Tsar. Nicholas abdicated. The family was placed under house arrest. In July 1918, Bolshevik forces executed the entire Romanov family in a basement. Nicholas, Alexandra, and their 5 children, including 13-year-old Alexei and 17-year-old Anastasia. The Romanovs had a decade of warnings. They had multiple chances to reform, abdicate, or flee. They chose to believe the warnings didn't apply to them. They were wrong. The British Empire lost its most valuable colony not to superior military force, but to a king who refused to listen to anyone, about anything. George III came to the throne in 1760, determined to be a hands-on monarch in a system that worked best when the king stayed out of it. He dismissed capable ministers, appointed incompetent favorites, and personally pushed the taxation policies that drove the American colonies to rebellion. When the revolution began, his generals repeatedly told him the war was unwinnable. He refused to accept it. When Benjamin Franklin went to London to negotiate, before the Declaration of Independence, when compromise was still possible, George refused to meet him. He also suffered from what historians now believe was porphyria, a metabolic disorder that caused episodes of madness, during which he talked for hours without stopping, turned purple, and had to be restrained. In his final years, he was completely blind and insane, wandering the halls of Windsor Castle, talking to people who weren't there. George III was so determined to hold on to America that he lost it. Then he lost his mind. No royal family in all of history destroyed itself more completely than the House of Atreus. Every generation murdered the last one. It started with Tantalus, who killed his own son and served him to the gods as a test. His son Pelops won a kingdom through cheating and murder. Pelops' son Atreus killed his brother's children and served them to their father at a dinner party. Atreus' son Agamemnon sacrificed his own daughter to get favorable winds for the Trojan War. When Agamemnon returned home victorious from Troy, his wife Clytemnestra murdered him in his bath. Their son Orestes then killed his own mother to avenge his father. 5 generations, every single one committing murder against their own family. The House of Atreus is mythology, but it's mythology that contained truth. Every royal family that destroyed itself was playing out the same story, the belief that power justified anything. It never does. The Habsburgs, who inbred themselves into extinction. Henry VIII, who sacrificed everything for a son who died at 15. The Romanovs, who ignored every warning. The Mad King who lost America. And the House of Atreus, who turned family dinner into a crime scene. 5 royal families. 5 different ways to destroy everything you have. One common thread. They all believed the rules didn't apply to them. They were wrong. They always are. If you want more stories like this, click the card above for our breakdown of the Black Death, animated in Lego. See you there!